Yeah, Benji Marshall, the 300th game for him, a wonderful achievement. What a highlight really has from those decades involved in the game, Benji Marshall, but not the result he wanted, with Parramatta winning by 30 points to 18 yesterday. The other milestone matches went extremely well. Cameron Smith got a wonderful send-off down there in Melbourne. 6 tries to 3 with the Melbourne Storm winning, particularly the last 20 minutes. They raced in 3 unanswered tries to really blow that scoreline out. And Gavin Cooper, congratulations to Gavin Cooper and also the Cowboys. His 300th game, the Cowboys coming up with that upset victory over the Roosters. But the big talking point out of the weekend, unfortunately, we have the sacking of the Gold Coast Titans coach in Garth Brennan, Loz. He's only won 4 of 16 so far this year, 12 wins from 40 overall. And that puts our good mate Kevin Walters in line for the job, or does it?
I think it does. I think he's the favourite for the gig.
All right, we'll find out.
We need to ask him.
We better find out. G'day, Kevy.
Good morning, gents. How are you?
Going very well, mate. Now, this question will be asked, I reckon, 100 times between now and the Gold Coast Titans decide who their coach is going to be. Is there any interest on your part to coach the Gold Coast Titans next year?
Well, firstly, Loz, I think it's a bit unfair for the timing of it all. I got asked yesterday when I was, at Parramatta and as well, the timing of it all. I mean, Garth's just been sacked. I really feel for Garth Brennan in a lot of ways because, he's been let down by a few people, I feel, particularly, the playing group. They sort of haven't aimed up as well as they should. I mean, so that part of it, and for me to be dragged into it, like I was, I think it's a bit unfair. I still got my head in Origin mode. I mean, we're still getting over what happened last Wednesday night. We came so very close to pulling the series off, and then for all the news to break yesterday, one, I feel extremely sorry for Garth Brennan the way it's all unfolded, and two, I need to get my head around where I need to be, for next year, and that's something that we'll have to look at, I guess. Sure,
Kevy, understand all that. I know it was just thrust upon you yesterday, but you've only had one sleep on it. But I'll ask you again. You said you wouldn't take an interview with the Gold Coast Titans. If I asked you this morning, well, why wouldn't you? But would you? If Mal Meninga or they ran you from the Gold Coast Titans, would you sit down and discuss the job with the Gold Coast Titans?
Well, I guess the thing that you got to look at is what that question's all about. I haven't had any sort of...
Well, the question is this, Kevy, can you drop into the office? We're really keen to discuss you taking over the head coaching job at the Gold Coast Titans. Can you give us half an hour?
Well, at the moment, I'd have to say that I'm contracted with the Queensland Rugby League for next year, and I'm comfortable with that. So the Titans are, that's a great opportunity, for someone, and who that someone is, well, we're going to find out. I don't know who. Have they drawn up a list of who they're expecting to interview or do whatever they have to do? Do you guys know?
No. Well, they'd have a makeshift list because there's always got to be some sort of contingency plan. But you're apparently at the top of that list. So, but why wouldn't you talk to them? Why?
Well, if Mel wants to pick up the phone and or the Titans want to pick up the phone and ring, well, you're silly not to actually answer the phone. I'm not going to take it to that degree, but Does that answer your question, TK?
Yes, and once you pick up that phone, you have. Why wouldn't you have a chat? Is what I'm trying to say. You'd be mad not to.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm not that arrogant and that rude to not pick up the phone and talk to Big Mal or whoever rings. Yeah. If they do ring, I don't even know what their plans are because I can honestly tell you that, for the last 8 weeks or longer, last 12 months, my head's been focused around winning that Origin series, and I haven't given Clubland one little bit of thought, one little bit of energy. Obviously, with the news breaking, over the weekend, and the timing of it all, which is the one that sort of caught me a bit off guard. I thought at least that they're giving the respect to at least see out the end of the year, but that hasn't happened either. So it's got a lot of people talking. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Can I ask you then this, Kevy? Is your ultimate goal to coach NRL?
Now, I got asked this yesterday as well, Laurie. Whatever I do, I want to make sure that I'm successful at it. Yep. Whether that's in the NRL or certainly at the moment for Queensland, we've lost the last 2 series, which doesn't sit comfortably with me. I want to make sure that that gets put back into line and where it should be. Queensland on top, Laurie, not New South Wales, which, is something that is very close to me. But again, whatever I do, I want to be successful at, whether it's my coaching or even my work on Fox League. I really enjoy that side of my life as well. They're a great mob to work for, and they've been really good to me as well. So there's plenty to think about for sure. And right now, we'll just give it some thought.
Kevy, you're sort of a little bit hesitant maybe because you've been pretty close before and just missed out, as a lot of people have in any particular job they may well go to. Does that make you a little bit hesitant that you'd like to, exactly work out what process it is?
No, I'm not. That doesn't bother me one bit. I understand that the Titans have a process that they need to go through and some boxes that they have to tick. So no, that side of it doesn't bother me one little bit. It's just a matter of what I want to do and what I'm prepared to do. Because at the end of the day, every coach that signs a contract, whether it's for Queensland, New South Wales, or the Broncos, or wherever, it's your head on the chopping block. So and that's the case across, and that's the responsibility that you accept. And I think that's one of the things that Garth Brennan has taken head on, and I admire him for that. He's accepted the responsibility for where he's at and where the club's at. He faced it front on, which I really admire from him.
My last question on it, Kevy. Rugby league, it's all about timing, and
it is all about timing.
Yeah, and it sort of, from an outsider looking in, this just seems like the perfect fit for you. If you don't take this job, and assuming that they offer you the job, by the way, if you weren't to get this job and weren't to be offered, would you be thinking then that, oh gee, I don't know how things will work out in the next couple of years? Because if you're unsuccessful then with Queensland next year, then Queensland, they mightn't be loyal to you, even though you're loyal to them.
That's right, mate. So that's all the things that we've got to have a good hard look at. As you know, Laurie, the coaching industry can be very fickle, and I've experienced it before as well. Sometimes the results that you get don't reflect how bloody hard you actually work. And I've seen that with myself, and with this year's series, and also you've witnessed it as well and felt it. It's a cold world sometimes in the rugby league industry, but that's how it is. So we've got to be really smart about what we do and how we go about things. But one thing that I do have is a whole lot, I'll say this on air, and people, a shitload of belief about what I can bring, as a coach to the Queensland side, whichever side I'm coaching. A lot of belief and a lot of faith in how I go about things and what I'm doing. So whatever decision we come up with, and it's going to be one that's going to be thought through thoroughly and make a really smart decision about what the future holds for us, because there's plenty at stake, as you say.
Absolutely, but we'll leave it as in. If Dennis Watt rang you from the Gold Coast, or Mal Meninga rang you from the Gold Coast Titans and said, Kevy, we've got an vacant position here. Can we have a chat? You go.
TK, I always answer the phone, mate. I picked up the phone for you guys this morning, so I'm going to pick up the phone.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not that bloody silly.
And you're willing to have a chat?
I'll pick up the phone and talk to anyone, TK. Yeah. There you go.
That's why you'd still take my call, mate, which is good. And
you mightn't after today.
Numbers that you guys ring on.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's just trying to define. And I'll move away from it directly after this. Is it a poison chalice, the Gold Coast, mate? Not just for league, but for any code. No. We all know about the history of the Gold Coast across all different codes.
No, I would have thought so. I think it's. It is a different area, but if you look at the Titans and some of the clubs or the junior schools that are feeding into the Titans, that's a great nursery down there, and just over the border there as well. That's a terrific. The Northern Rivers there, I think they call it. That's a terrific area for talent, and always has been, providing to the NRL in different areas. So I don't think it's a poison. No, the Titans are they've battled away, but they've always, had some great kids coming through, and we've seen that again this year with, the likes of Jai Arrow, coming through. He's a Gold Coast kid that's come through, and wonderful player at State of Origin level. And there's been a lot of them over the last, young Brian Kelly is another one from the Northern Rivers district there, and he's come through. He's got a whole lot of talent. So there's plenty of them coming through. It's just a matter of, making sure that they get through into the Titan system. I think that's one of the reasons why Mal was brought on board, to try and assist that with the development of the club and getting a pathway system that's going to be influential, at the top end, rather than clubs coming in and sort of poaching their players, which the Broncos have done for many of you. You know, they got a lot of goal. Payne Haas was a Gold Coast junior as such, and now he's playing, you know, at the Broncos. There's a whole list of them that have come through over the last, 5 to 10 years that should have been Titans, but for whatever reason, they're not.
Some plenty of great league stories out of the weekend, and none more so than, a great friend of yours in Cameron Smith celebrating his 400th game in style.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be down there on the weekend for that game, and they did it in style. The Storm, Cameron's for Cameron's 400th, certainly the stadium was in pitch black, and he ran out and through the fire and all the smoke, and yeah, it was a wonderful night for Cameron and the Melbourne Storm. What an achievement, though. I mean, 400. It just doesn't seem real to me, but then you add on another 100 representative games, so he's a 500-game player, which to me, I don't think we'll see that in my lifetime anyway, another player coming through and playing that many games, particularly the way that he goes about his work as well. He's not an interchange player or someone that comes on for 20 minutes. He's there for the full tilt and right in the middle where all the action is, so it's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, we were talking about it on air the other day. Records are always there to be broken, but it's pretty hard to see anyone getting near that 400 game mark, because that is 20 games a year for 20 seasons.
Yeah, well, that's what since 2003, he's averaged 20 plus games. So that your maths are spot on, Laurie. Like, it's just incredible. I mean, what did he miss? One Origin game in those 42 Origins. So that was an incredible achievement as well. Even tests, I think he's got, I don't know how many tests, he's behind Lockie or somewhere, but 55 tests or 54 tests or something. So it's an amazing record, and durability and toughness and all of that coming to, when you think of that, you think of, Cameron Smith.
Is he the best player you've seen, Kevy?
Well, I always thought all hail the king, Wally Lewis, as I was coming through, but for what he's done now in the game, the most wins at NRL level, the most wins as an Origin player, his captaincy. Yeah, look, I certainly put him right up there. There's no one been better than him, I would have thought. And just the way that he he's had to adapt his game over the years. I think he's a different player now to what he was even 2 or 3 years ago. But one thing he does do for mine now is just really have a good sense of where the game is at in terms of the scoreboard, in terms of minutes, what time of the game it is. He just controls the game, whether it's a tackle, a kick, or a pass. He just has that big influence over any one moment in the game, and I don't think we've seen anyone quite like him. Well, no, we haven't, in the last 100 years, of that sort of calibre, where he can just control a game with a tackle or a pass or a kick or something, a word in the referee's ear. All those little things add up to big things at the end of the day.
No doubt. Kevy, I know you did that game. Did you see the Nick Kotrick tackle?
Oh, I did. I only saw it on social media. Yeah.
Right. Send off or not, or?
Yeah. Well, I think. Yeah. I haven't sort of seen enough of it, but I don't mind players being sent off if the referees feel that's appropriate. I mean, certainly we've seen some incidents in recent weeks that deserve probably a send off, and they haven't acted appropriately. And that one, if it's a spear tackle, well, I think it's time to go. Yeah, I applaud the referees.
Kevy, you could have dodged us this morning. You didn't, mate. We thank you for your time and good luck. We've got a busy week coming up.
Yeah, it's always busy in the Walters household.
Mate, you know what? It's better to be wanted than not wanted, buddy.
Good on you, boys.
See you, mate.
Good on you, Kevy. See you, buddy.
Good on you, lot.
Yeah, there you go. I was surprised when I saw those reports yesterday saying I'm not interested. I'm happy with Queensland, and which he is.
He's got to be careful.
Right?
He's got to be careful.
He doesn't want to dance on someone else's grave.
And he doesn't want to dance on someone's grave. He doesn't want to be disrespectful to Garth Brennan. And he's employed by the Queensland Rugby League.
Which I think they're giving him.
It's all about timing. And I think Kevy understands that, yes, he could be loyal to Queensland. But at the end of next series, if they get beaten again.
How loyal are they going to be?
That's exactly right. And the opportunity has come.
It's the Gold Coast.
And it's at his doorstep. He fits the profile of someone they're looking for. Personally, I think he'd be mad to knock it back.
If he gets offered the position, I think he'd be a great fit for the Gold Coast Titans. And by the way, he talks about that nursery. As far as I'm concerned, it's Para, Penrith, Gold Coast, as far as nurseries and juniors.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's a big area.
Something good's got to happen there, hopefully soon, 8/21.